Welcome to Foundry Talks. Today I'm sitting down with Sarah Stahl, the Director of Marketing at Retreet, Alabama's first luxury glamping resort. We're talking about what it really takes to launch a new travel brand, from building trust with guests during construction to creating authentic partnerships with content creators. Sarah shares how she focuses on transparency, collaboration, and guest experience, and how that helped Retreat build a loyal following, and why the future of hospitality marketing is all about earning trust one story at a time. Welcome back to Foundry Talks. I'm Rachel Stoyanovsky, and today we are joined with Sarah Stahl, who is the Director of Marketing at Retreat, which is a luxury glamping experience set in Alabama. So Sarah, welcome. We're so excited to have you with us today.
Thank you. Happy to be here with you guys.
Well, just for our listeners, we'd love to just get started with a little bit of background on you, your story, and a little bit about Retreat.
Sure. So I'm happy to share. I've been a marketeer for 15 years, and I have a track record of identifying demand generation gaps in really unexpected places. I've worked across 6 different industries from tech to now travel. And in each one, I have found success just by bringing a fresh customer perspective or a pain point and pairing it with results-driven storytelling. So today, in my current role, I'm the marketing director of Retreat Resort and Spa, which is Alabama's first luxury glamping resort. We're situated on 40 private acres with 21 vacation rentals, and all of them are cutely and discreetly tucked away on the side of a mountain near Lake Gunnersville. So out of all those 21, we have 4 different unit types. We have tree houses, luxury glamping tents, tiny cottages, and then 2-bedroom lake view cabins.
Amazing.
And we have been under construction since late 2022. And we've been growing steadily. We've steadily grown our demand, our customer base, all that time. And then this year, 2025, is actually our first year of operations outside of construction.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I'm sure that was a challenge in itself to market in a construction zone.
We were very creative, and it came down to transparency.
Yeah,
Everybody knew what to expect before they got there. Yeah.
that's amazing. So you shared that you've been, across a bunch of different industries. What is it about travel and hospitality that has, excited you and made you stick around in this industry for as long as you have?
So that's an easy one. I love creating experiences that make people feel good. I feel like this world is just like a wild and unpredictable place. But when we can help someone unwind or laugh or connect with a loved one in a beautiful setting, I just feel like that's everything. It takes me to a different world just as much as it takes them to a different world. So just turning a guest day around, that's everything.
Yeah, that's amazing. When you talk about having to, come up against some of those challenges with the construction and having transparency, and what are some tactics that you did to ensure that people felt prepared? Because I think you're right. I think that is a big part of it, is you are expensing this and you have an expectation of how it's going to go. And if you then walk into something like that, there goes your expectations. So what are some things that you did to really ensure you were meeting people's expectations?
So we just made customer communications a priority. When I first got started in 2023 with them, they were only on Airbnb, so it was like really easy at that time to, we put on bold letters up on the top of the listing, like property construction going on between these hours. And we, being a small team and being coordinated with the owner, he would tell us like, okay, construction's going on between 8 and 4. Most people checked in at 4, so there was nothing going on, during more relaxing hours or anything like that. And so we just made it really clear. What made it more challenging is during our growth process, we got a more robust software that allowed us to just, book multiple places. And so then we had to update across every single place and make sure the website was updated, the listings were updated, the OTA platforms were updated. So that got a little daunting, but we just would check everything from, website to automation and make sure it was really clear.
Yeah, it's never worse than when you get those sneaky OTAs that have an old picture or something just going
I
rogue.
I have been hearing horror stories, and I honestly don't know how people have repeat business like that. Like the level of detail that we have made sure like we communicate and make sure everything's clear. And if you read our reviews, it's the pictures were exactly the experience or even better, so I don't know how people stay in business and don't stay accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And that's really neat that you were able to recognize that from the beginning. And I'm sure that that has been a huge, I'm assuming that you have quite a bit of repeat business.
Yeah, we have roughly between 20 and 30%.
That's
And some of
amazing.
our guests come back 4 or 5 times. We're starting to hear more because I consider we're just getting out of startup phase, so there's still a lot of gray area. But a lot of our guests who come back, they're like, "This is our fourth time," and because we wanted to try every unit type, and that's usually what people want to do. And we have great follow-up remarketing, so people who have stayed with us before have like a special discount code that isn't available to the public. So we've just driven our own demand that way, and then we listen to our customers. So
Yeah.
part of our changes that we've made, even some of our big, uh, I guess, like development projects, have been because of customer feedback and demand.
I love that. And I think that's such a cool benefit of being a smaller team because you can actually do that. There's so much less
Hmm.
red tape you have to go through. You guys are in charge, so you can kind of make those executive decisions, which just
Hmm.
turns out to be so much better in the long
Hmm.
run. That's so cool.
Hmm.
What I'm curious, what are some of those things that guests had requested or had wanted changed?
Yeah, I'll do a big one and a little one. So, a big one is we have the state's only glass dome event space.
Okay.
And the company is EcoDome, if you've heard of them. I'm not sure, but they're international. And so early on, probably like spring of 2023, we had a lot of guests saying we want to rent out the whole place for,
Wow.
weddings or,
Yeah.
yeah, like family reunions or whatever. But in Alabama, and it being so hot and muggy, there was no place to meet inside. So we have a lot of communal outdoor fire pits and saunas and stuff like that, but nothing indoor climate controlled that could sit down for a nice meal.
Yeah.
So about October, the owner comes to us and says, I'm gonna build a glass dome and it's gonna go right there." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds cool. When is that gonna be done?" "Next month." And so so he immediately had a team, like they cleared the land, built the deck, like prepared for the dome. And the dome's actually made, I can't remember the country, overseas, and it was going to have to be freighted over. It was going to take like 3 months, and he's like, "No, this thing needs to be done by next month." So he had it flown over, and then
Oh,
so by December we had like a Christmas open house with the dome, and it's the only glass dome event space in the state, and it's just like an awe-inspiring thing to look at.
well, it is amazing. I saw it on your social channels and it is so unique and cool looking.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
awesome.
cool. So then a small one, I would say. We get a lot of requests for like small things like could you put mirrors on the back of the doors, like
Hmm.
full-length
Yeah.
mirrors. We'll put full-length mirrors up, or we need a couple extra hooks in the bathroom for our shower bags. We'll put
Yeah.
stuff like that. So anytime someone turns around, they feel that because if we get that on a survey, we usually will adopt it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's really neat that you're just taking such an active effort to listen to the responses. I think a lot of times people get those surveys and they're like, oh, these probably go unread or unnoticed or whatever. But that's so great that you're looking at them so closely and actually
Yeah,
taking action. I love that.
yeah.
So, aside some of the construction challenges that you faced, what were some of your early sales and marketing challenges, if any additional ones? And what did you do to combat that?
Yeah. So, as Alabama's first glamping resort, we had no blueprint, no stable competitors with a playbook to emulate, no rule book to break, anything like that. So, at first, it felt like exciting. And then it was daunting. So I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Rapunzel, when she's like leaving her tower and she's going through like every single emotion. That's what
My
it
daughter's
was.
favorite movie at the moment, so I know that scene well. Oh, I
Yeah,
miss
so
my
it's like,
mother. No, I don't.
yeah, yeah, so that's what it felt. It felt a lot like that, like, are we gonna die? Like just all of the things. But I started to look at it as a creative advantage, and then about 6 months into my into the company's development, we identified a really huge competitor, and they're actually not far away. They're like an hour away.
Oh, wow.
And they have a huge budget. We could just tell they had a really big budget. So I'm like, there ain't no way I'm going head to head with pay per click with these guys. Like, we just can't. Even if I was the best pay per click expert, which I'm not, I'm like, we can't compete with that. So
Yeah.
we just totally flipped the model. And again, back to my background, I just know how to listen. I know how to adapt and adjust to what consumers are doing and saying. And really early on, we worked with a couple of creators, and they were like bigger creators in the area. And then people would find out about them from seeing their content. And then we'd have about 5 requests from that one creator stay. So I was like, oh, there's something here. And it didn't cost much to work with the creators.
Yeah.
And then I eventually adopted, they actually have a fee to pay. They have to pay our clean fee and our tax so that there's some kind of like stake in the game. And
Yeah.
then we just kind of went all in with that because we had to build trust fast.
Yeah.
And the whole other conversation we could have about advertising is consumers don't trust advertising.
Yeah.
So we basically put our marketing in the hands of our creators to tell the story of what they experienced.
That's so amazing. And so you briefly mentioned it, but you shared with us prior to jumping on the podcast that you basically reallocated all of your pay-per-click budget or your PPC budget and said, we're not going to actually do any of that, which I think a lot of people would be like, wait, what? You did what? So I'm sure in the moment it felt very bold and probably a little bit scary. But it clearly has turned out to be for the better. So what was that like? Did you have to get key stakeholders on board with that? Or did you just say, like, look, let's try it? And then you saw the success and did more and more? Or did you just like cold turkey cut the budget?
Mm. Okay, so I'll kind of take you through because there was all of the above. So
Okay.
I don't see anything in marketing as scary. I feel like you have to test to know. And so when I first started, they had nothing. There was no even budget in place. They didn't know who their customers were. They were 6 months old when they hired me. And
Okay.
so there was just nothing in place. And so I said, for the rest of the year, so I was hired in June. I said, for the rest of the year, what about if you allocated $30,000 and I'm going to just try a bunch of stuff and I'm going to set up tracking for every single one so that we can have a baseline because you have to test, you have to try the scary things to figure out what works.
Yeah.
So I did pay per click. I did print advertisements. I did partners. I did creators. We did word of mouth. We did all kinds of different things. We developed brochures that went to the visitor centers with their own custom booking code. Like we just did all these things. And then we had a baseline of
Yeah.
reporting of actual numbers, and pay per click was the worst. Like that was the worst ROI. It was like $40 for lead acquisition. I mean, our lead acquisition right now averages like $13 from organic. So
Amazing.
$40 for pay per click. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm sure there was somebody that could come in and like refine even further or something, but the creators were doing so well. And then our print ads were doing so well,
Yeah.
that I just asked up front, can I have this money? We need to develop a baseline, and then I'm going to prove to you what's working, and then we'll adjust from there. So
Yeah.
then I was able to come back within about 3 months and say, this is what's working, this is not what's working, I'd like to adjust it. And because I'm always showing my work,
Yeah.
then it just kind of speaks for itself. And really, I just presented what was going on, and then what would you like to do with that? Oh, well, we want to
Yeah.
run with this because this is working, this is costing us less, this has got a better return. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So the creators did so well by the end of 2023. It was like, let's just cut the budget in half. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably more than half because they gave me 30,000 for 6 months and I ended up spending 15,000 in 2024 in total.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so kind of walk us through that playbook of working with these, these content creators. What does that look like in terms of execution? Like, how do you find them and vet them? Do you reach out? I know my experience working in house at a luxury resort, we were just inundated with requests, but I'm sure being newer, there was probably a little bit more outreach that you were doing on your end.
No, no.
No?
And I feel like if you are inundated with requests, you are in the best freaking spot. Like you are in because now you get to choose,
Right.
who you want to work with. And you can create whatever you want, right? So we were in the same spot. We had an abundance of demand out or request demand because they saw their creator friends, and I feel like it was nothing more than fear of missing out.
Yeah.
um and they're like, oh my gosh, they got this crazy content with like this
Yeah.
stuff, everything's just so beautiful there, and all guests get their own custom golf cart. You actually can't ride your car around, so it's just like a neat, unique experience, and so creators are getting this really great content.
Oh my
So
gosh,
I
the
would,
content opportunities are probably just like everywhere you turn.
yeah, every return. So honestly, I think I've reached out to maybe 10 total in the last 2 years.
That's
um
great. Wow.
and so I've learned a lot from the process. So every single person who reached out, I said yes, because that's
Okay.
just the kind of person that I am. I feel like if they're like, I look at them as business owners, right? So when I was a business owner, I wanted people to give me a chance. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna give you a chance, right?
Yeah.
So everybody got a yes. It didn't matter your demographic. There was your demographic or your audience size. There was probably like a handful of people I said no to just because their content wasn't up to par.
Aligned. Yeah.
But most people have like decent content, so they all got a yes. Um, and then the early days, so the first 6 months, we didn't even have a fee associated with it, and that got hairy because of insurance and
Right.
liability and stake in the game and protecting the property and protecting the housekeepers and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And so, one of the first things I told the housekeepers was, "You tell me if there is any issue, if there is any disrespect." Because that's where they lost their opportunity, right, to come back. So from there, I developed the fee. So we have a standard cleaning fee and tax associated with that. So it's $65.
Yeah.
And when people reach out to me, so I've had this in place for about a year. Um, Usually it's on Instagram. It's on 90% on Instagram, 10% through TikTok. They're like, "Hey, are you open to collaborations?" And I always say, we're always open to having a collaborative discussion. Email
Yeah.
Sarah at Retreat to learn more about our process. And
Yeah.
I just try to make it really clear, like, we have a process here.
Yeah.
And then it's up to you if you would like to participate. So I have this very long email that I've actually put in an ebook that I wrote because I've got this question so many times, and
Oh,
I
for
see
sure.
it's a big need to, like, I've talked to a lot of owners that have quite a few requests and they ignore them. And I'm like,
Mm.
please don't ignore them. They're like, well, we don't know what to say. And I'm like, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get through this together. And so I just created this structure. And so on the creator side, creators are burnt out, right?
Mm.
And then on the property owner side, they're protecting their investment. So I
Yeah.
tried my best to find the balance between the two. So I
Yeah.
actually have very low content requirements
Okay.
because I want them to feel the space, unwind. I actually want them to relax. Like I want them to experience that too. And from that, we've gotten just some of the best content because
It's
because they're people also, and people are creative when they're in nature doing nothing,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so we've had 6 reels go viral in the last year. 2 of them were ours, 4 of them were creators, and one creator had 1,500 followers.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it doesn't matter the follower count, it matters the story that they tell. And when they're also able to like not have to like do all this content and they're able to enjoy, their story is much better. So
That's
today,
yeah, you've really tapped into more of the micro influencer, which I love because
yes.
I think people are like, oh, you don't have 100,000 followers. Sorry, we're not even going to look. But really, there's so much value in working with a micro influencer or a micro content creator. And you're like a walking case study for it. It's amazing.
To be honest, I'm trying to think. I don't even think we've worked with anyone with 100,000 followers. We had one gentleman stay with us and he paid to stay and he had 780,000. And I was like, what? Who? So I reached back out to him. Well, I have my team like look out for stuff like that because I'm not always in the booking process. And I found out about him. He was coming back with his family. And I said, hey, we actually have a creator program. I
Yeah.
can't give it to you because you paid again, but I can extend your night and give you a free night if you want to do like one reel and a photo or something. And he's like, heck
Yes.
yeah.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, so in your playbook that you developed, so
hmm
what do you do for like negotiation? I mean, do they come back with and say like, no, we want to stay longer? Do you have like a minimum that you said you can do one night, two night? Like, what does that kind of process look like?
So, I make it all about them and I say
Okay.
like we value user generated content partnerships. We value what you do. We want to give you a rest. So here are the options. I have a one night, two night, three-night stay and they're only during the week. So it's a Sunday through a Thursday. We do not do weekends because that's just too lucrative for us to lose
Yeah.
out. And we're booked weekends in advance, so we just don't do that. Um, and then one night is like one reel, one story, one photo. Two nights, two reels, two stories, two photos. 3 nights actually has a blog associated with it. So that's really basic. Like you don't get much more basic than that. Um, but they end up doing more. They're just
Yeah.
so happy and they're having so much fun. They end up doing more. So also we have a great relationship with our local tourism department who they have arms into experiences
Everything.
that we don't. So in my relationship with the tourism director, I have a little blurb in there that says, depending on when you're coming and how much advance time, we can actually pull the tourism department for some experiences, zip
Yeah.
lining, horseback riding.
Oh my,
Um, there we have a local cave experience here. So I just kind of like overgive, and
yeah.
let them choose what they would like. Because at the end of the day, they're guests. They're paying guests
Yeah.
still staying with us. And so honestly, nobody negotiates.
Wow.
Everybody picks one of those three. Maybe a
That's,
handful have chosen to work with the tourism department and they've
yeah.
gotten free experiences. Um, because I was actually on another podcast a couple weeks ago and they asked me this very question. And I got to thinking, like, nobody has come back and asked for payment either. Well, one came back and asked for, hey, we want to work again. Would you be willing for this price? And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah.
Um, but no, nobody
No
negotiates.
negotiation. Wow, that's so amazing. I love that you have such a system in place because it sounds like you're arming them with all of the information that they need and it just
hmm
takes that out, that kind of step out completely, and you're just able to move forward with this really streamlined process.
And I
Uh,
think the respect is there because they used to negotiate or they used to say, well, I need to be paid to come here before I
yeah,
had the system. But once I
yeah,
had the system, no more.
yeah.
That
That's
all
so
stopped.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love getting the requests that were like, we'd love to partner with you. And we would always go back and say, great, in what capacity?
Yeah.
We kind of wanted like if you're gonna like pitch us on something, you need to have like a
Do
little
some
bit of
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me what you want to do. Like what do you want to feature? Like what angle are you going to do, you know? So we kind of
Yes.
put it back on them, but I like that you have those every just really upfront and then there's no confusion. Have you ever had someone stay and they haven't delivered? Or has
Yes.
everyone? Yes. How did you
Yes.
handle
Yes.
that?
Um, Again, I had a Rapunzel moment because I was like, oh my gosh, like how embarrassing. I would be so embarrassed, And then I'm like, well, I know who you are. I'm gonna stalk you and start commenting on everything. And then I'm like, you know what? It was it was only one. We've worked with about 200 creators. There's always gonna be a few bad apples.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm not wasting my energy there. I'm going to focus on what's working, keep momentum, building the relationships with those who are wanting to build the relationship. And it was pretty cringy. Like he had even just got married, and this is like his honeymoon.
Oh
Yeah, and so I don't know. Things happen like that, and that's why we have the process in place. Because guess what? He paid us to be there. He had
yeah.
his card on file for deposit if there were any issues. So we were still protected the property.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. Okay, so then as you're getting all of this content, how do you like schedule it out or plan it or reuse it? Are you just like accepting their collab when they're doing a post, or do you have them send you the original files and you've got like an asset library? Because your feed is great. I love all the creator content that you guys are posting is amazing. Feels so authentic and original. So how do you schedule that out or how do you reuse it?
So it just depends because again, we're at a different relationship level with each of the creators that have been around with us a
Yeah.
lot longer. So a good example is Cowboy Core is like a huge thing in travel right now. And when I saw that in February, I put out a call to all the creators. There's about 25 we work with closely, and if I have a special project, I'll throw it out there to them. And one of the girls, she's like, yes, I'll do this. So she got to come, and there were very specific deliverables when I do a call out.
Right.
And sometimes they go above and beyond. Like
Yeah.
she ended up giving me way more than what we had asked for. So yeah, I have a folder in Dropbox for every creator,
Awesome.
and named because my biggest fear is I'm gonna post something and forget whose stuff it
It's
was, or
keep
post
it.
or tag the wrong creator or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm really nervous because that's their work, and they're
Yeah.
trying to build their business. So yeah, I just have them in Dropbox folders. And when I'm creating content, honestly, it's just I feel a lot of it. Like I have one content creation day, and I have to put music on and just look through and think about what everybody asked us. And I
Right.
I really just go off of whatever I heard most of from customers within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So with, using all of these or collecting all of these assets from these content creators, I think a lot of companies spend money quarterly or allocate a certain amount of budget for professional photography or lifestyle photography. Is that something that you still do or you haven't really needed to do because you're getting so many assets of lifestyle photography from these content creators?
Yes. So I
Yeah.
did that initially because we had like I started with no content.
Yeah.
And so I have a really good local friend who's a videographer, a photographer, and I scheduled to have him come out quarterly for
Yeah.
lifestyle for every season because I'm like,
Yeah.
we need to show what it looks like in winter
Right.
versus spring. And so that's kind of like our foundation content, and
Yeah.
it's just like hundreds of clips and that we could just reuse for stuff. And then we have a different creator on site every week for the
That is
since
incredible that you're able to
yeah,
keep up that cadence.
I know it's actually starting to kind of dip a little. And what I'm wondering is like, or is this like a brand development reiteration, that we're kind of
Right.
going through? That's a whole other thing. But so because we have so many creators here, they own all their own content. I would say like 90% of the creators only give me like their one photo or something. Otherwise, I just want them to post the reel in the story and tag us. We don't have
Yeah.
to own their reel or story
Right.
because it's in our feed anyways, as long as they collaborate with us. So
Yeah.
that's fine. So we really just only ask for the photo is
Yeah.
ours to use. Other than that, a lot of it is either that foundation. I'd say 50% of our content is that foundational seasonal content, and the other 50% has been like gifted from
Okay.
creators who are like, you're growing. I want to be seen too. If you will, I had a photographer stay with us. She's like, if you'll pay me $150 for my all my photography, you can use it forever and just tag me every time. And she had
Oh
the
my
most
gosh.
beautiful stuff. I was like, yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Um,
Amazing. Oh wow.
yeah, it
That's
just
so
takes
neat.
so little. And I think that's what's cool about the hospitality industry. It takes so little to be kind and work well together.
Well, and I think that that's such a unique benefit of the hospitality industry is that the hotel room is going to be there whether someone's in it or not. So if you can do a
Hmm.
trade for content, I mean, you're really actually saving money. The cost of photography and videography work these days is so high if you were just to bring
Hmm.
someone in. And oftentimes when you do that, you're working around your guests, and it's a bigger production. But if you're just utilizing someone that is staying there, they get so much more organically and authentically, oftentimes better than what a photographer could even get.
Yeah, I agree because people are tired of the polished
Hmm.
anyways. So it just, I think that's how we built trust so quick is just the
Yeah.
creators coming in, doing their thing in their own voice, in their own way. And there's no pretentiousness about it. Even though
Mhm.
we are a luxury resort, we're not pretentious.
Yeah. So I think everyone would be really curious. What were your reels that went viral?
Both completely unexpected. And
Okay.
that's the first one was just something I was playing around with, and I keep up with what's happening in the travel industry, and so I was like, oh, choppy trends are that's in right now.
Yeah.
So I just did like a choppy trend, and that one went viral. And it doesn't even, it was like in the middle of construction too, so it's like missing key pieces of the property, but that's okay. And the other one was hilarious. So our owner, who is just he's a visionary, just idea guy, and he's like, I wish you could just make a reel go viral. And I was like,
Tell
okay,
me
so
right on that.
personally on my LinkedIn, I did this Taylor Swift song, and it was like when the boss makes you make something wants you to make something go viral, and I was like, nothing in my brain, like I just like couldn't. That's like the number one thing that marketers hate to be asked. And then at the end of the day, I was like, no, I'm gonna take it as a challenge. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make this sucker go viral, and we just hit 1 million views, and it was it's it's from inception to completion of construction in about 15 seconds.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's super super fast. It's the only one with the one M on our reels.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a nice just nice, I guess, icing on the cake there at the end.
Yeah. So what inspired the direction of the reel? Like, were you looking up trends or using trending audio, or was there like a tactic that you
Oh,
employed that you could maybe
mhm.
replicate?
I'm convinced you can't replicate it. I could probably try it again. It won't go viral. I might just test that out. But what I did two things. So one, we were actually in the works of making a video, which is on our YouTube channel. And this was the owner's idea. He's like, I want a 3 minute, 3 years, 3 minute construction video. It's like, awesome.
Yeah.
So that one's now up on YouTube, but it's too long for Instagram. And so that was bothering me because he kept saying, why don't I see that video on Instagram yet? And I'm like, well, it's too long. And he's like, well, can you just get it up there? And I'm like, it's not the same, but okay. So I found this glamping, it's actually saved in our reels. This glamping company in, I want to say like Scotland or something,
Okay.
and they use the same song. and they
That's
showed their construction process. And I was like, let me use this song because I saw it was trending. And I just did something a little bit different, but I was like, well, we're trying to do our construction video. I'll just make a version for
yeah,
Reels that, isn't 3 minutes long, and because you can't upload that.
right.
Um, and that was kind of how I did it.
Amazing. And I'm sure it was just such a nice feeling to say, here you go, here's your viral reel.
So the owner's wife, who is the co-owner, she's more serious, and she kind of like, because he's the only guy in a group of girls, and so she kind of looks out for us because she's like, "Did Troy ask you to make that go viral?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I did it." And she was like, "Well, look at her. She did it, Troy. I don't want to hear you ask her to make anything else go viral."
I love it. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so lessons learned and advice for people in the industry. What advice do you have for travel brands who are either looking to start a content creator program or need to revitalize what they're currently doing?
hmm I would say either start with a system if you don't already have one. If you're revitalizing, I would figure out how to make your program more of a system,
Yeah,
because I think that's where you get the respect from the creator. Because if they're feeling like you're haphazard, that's where they're like, just pay me for it, right? So there needs to be some kind of rapport that, hey,
yeah,
I'm the professional, I'm protecting my company, but we do want to work with you. This is what it looks like. When all those things are clarified, I think there's like no question. It's like pick something or move on.
yeah.
So I would say start with the system, and I actually have that ebook up on my website. If anyone's interested, they could download it for free.
Yeah.
Um, but
And we'll
I
be sure
think,
to link your ebook and your viral reel in our show notes
okay,
so
okay,
everyone can access that.
okay, sure, no problem.
Love
Yeah.
that.
And I would just say, like, I didn't do this probably because I'm in marketing so long, but I see a lot of business owners doing this. There's too high of an expectation on creators. It's
Mm.
like if someone's coming here and they're staying with us, they better make up a real go viral, right? Like there's this expectation. We have so many people coming through, like I don't even keep up with all of them. I'm like, once I turn them over to operations and they come in as a guest, it's like you do your thing and you have fun. And I have no expectation.
Yeah.
I'm like, your do your deliverables, and I don't even always follow up on it. I just trust that they're doing it. I see we get tagged. I'm like
Right.
moving on. So I would say have no expectation and just treat them really well,
Yeah.
and just let it naturally happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You're probably going to be so much better off getting great content if they are having a genuinely good experience
hmm
versus them just kind of like, oh, great, I got to get some clips for a reel or, if they're just,
Yeah.
if it's right in front of them, the natural inclination will just be, oh my gosh, I want to get that. Oh, I got to get that. I want to get that too. So,
Yeah, and leave them alone and let them do it. Like if I've seen owners in other places like kind of follow them around and check on what they're doing and like kind of micromanage the project, and
yeah.
no, you don't need to do that.
Well, and I think there's been a shift too, because we used to have to, follow them and not follow them physically, but follow their account in real time and like, okay, where's their check-in story? Where's their this? And it
Uh,
really shifted because a lot of times creators now will post after for like safety reasons and things. They're not necessarily
so
posting in real time.
that's actually a really good point. I have that in my email at the
Yeah.
end, letting them, like, giving them the permission if you don't feel comfortable posting while you're here for safety reasons, because we have solo female travelers, right?
Yeah.
Then I give them that permission. So that's a really good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. And I don't think that that has always been the case, but I think it's definitely more prevalent now. And so, a few years ago, we were like, oh my gosh, this person's not posting, like, great. Like, at the time, we didn't require a deposit or anything, but we did make them sign a contract. So at least there
hmm
was like something that, made them have feel a little
Yeah.
bit responsible. And we're like, oh, we're going to have to like do all this and go back to them. And oh, great, And then like 2 days went
A
by and
lot.
then there it goes. Everything is up and we're like, oh, okay, phew.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Have you had folks stay and not post?
no, everyone has always posted. I think sometimes the quality wasn't like quite up to what we were hoping or were expecting.
Hmm.
But I think that really comes into what you said about your expectations. Like you have to take their art for what it is. They are not a hired photographer where you can give them this deck of photography and brand guidelines. They are doing
Yeah.
it through their lens. But I
Hmm.
think that's the beauty of it because their followers clearly that resonates with them in some way. So they are portraying your brand to a demographic of people that maybe what you were doing wasn't reaching them because it wasn't in a style they appreciated or whatever. So I think that's what's so great about working with a variety of content creators is that they are capturing your property in a way that how they see it and how their audience
Yeah.
will connect with. So,
Yeah.
um, the other thing that I wanted to ask you is just in your, experience in travel and marketing and hospitality, are there any brands that you think like, wow, they are just crushing it? Or a campaign that you've seen that really stood out to you?
Yeah. There's an owner, Liz, from Bangtel.
Okay.
It's a bachelorette focused short-term rental across the Midwest. So I think she has like 12 different locations, but
Yeah.
they're all one brand, similar themes.
How cool.
But across, she's just doing such a good job. Like she has like this branded house of vacation rentals, and I've never seen anyone do it. And they're so fun. You have to look her up. Everything's like neon and just fun. It's really cool. And so she's got like a cabin, I think, south of Chicago, and then she's got stuff in California. So she's just kind of all over, and it's
Amazing.
really beautiful. She stands out well.
Talk about content creation. I mean, who doesn't want
Yeah,
to go to like a themed branded house? That's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
amazing. And then for you personally, have you had a favorite travel experience that really stands out to you and what do you think made it stick out to you?
Yeah, so my husband and I are prior military. We were stationed in Germany in early 2000s, and before we got sent back to the States, we're like, we want to do something just totally different. And we found an Airbnb before Airbnb was even Airbnb. So it was, I want to say we found it on like booking.com or
Yeah.
something, and it it was an Italian couple. They spoke no English. We were in their bathroom. I mean, we were in their house, but in their bathroom it was like their robes were out hanging, the toothbrushes were in the cup, like it was. But they spoke some broken English and asked my husband what his favorite dessert was. It was tiramisu. She like whips it up, and we go outside in their outdoor kitchen, and they gave us a tour. They had a vineyard out back, and we just like drank wine and ate cheese with Italians who didn't speak much English. It was really cool.
Amazing. I mean, talk
Yeah.
about hospitality to the next level.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dessert?
Yeah. And here it is, by
Uh,
the way. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, well, Sarah, thank you so much for being on with us today. Just so for listeners, if they want to learn more about Retreat, where can they find you guys?
Yeah, you can visit Retreat. It's RETREET.fun. And that has everything about us, how to book. You could connect with us on social media there as well.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you on, and thank you so much for your time and chatting more with us and sharing such a closer look at the, micro influencers and what that program looks like. And we're so happy for your success and hope to have you back on the podcast another time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here with you guys.
Thanks, Sarah.